All right. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you. I want to thank Jay and the City Club and all the members of this venerable institution for coming out this morning. I think this is a very appropriate time to gather and talk about important public policy issues. And the City Club has really, for more than a century, been a place where people come together and discuss what really is important for the common good. And what Jay just said, when we think back in our history, we've been blessed by great leaders like Paul Douglas and Paul Simon. And I think the thing that stood out among their characteristics when it came to public policy is they told the people what they needed to know, not just what folks and politicians wanted them to hear and think about, but what they needed to know. And so I think it's important that as we approach the last 11 days of the General Assembly session between now and the end of this month, that we lay out what the people of Illinois need to know and what we have to do. And it starts with pension reform. We'll be working on that issue this week and every day until we get it done. I have been at this forum on multiple occasions talking about this subject. We laid out more than a year ago a specific, concrete agenda for pension reform, dealing with retirement age and dealing with the cost of living adjustment and contributions, and making sure that we deal with this issue of $90 to $100 billion liability that our state has. It was created over decades. Previous governors, previous legislators did not address this squarely, and as a result, we are forced at this time this moment in our state history to have to take this issue on. It's very difficult. It's an emotional issue. I've appointed working groups. We've sat down with legislator after legislator. We've met with leaders. I do think I'm optimistic that we will do what we ought to do and get this done by the end of the month, because this is the most important thing, pension reform, public pension reform, for our economy in Illinois. Failure to act, inaction, is holding us back from truly fulfilling the promise, the opportunity that the people of Illinois have to grow their economy. There's nothing more that government can do to help jobs and economic growth than for the legislature to put a comprehensive public pension bill on my desk by the end of this month. So I'm going to work night and day on that issue. I urge all the folks here to get behind the importance of this mission. And it is a mission because it's been created over decades, and it's important that we, in our time here in 2013, straighten this out. And I'm confident that we can. And there are great things happening in the Illinois economy. Many more can happen if we do this and do it right. But if we want to keep building our infrastructure, repairing our roads, we finished now the Lower Wacker Drive project. It was a huge project. But now we're going to be working on the Circle Interchange, which was built in the late 50s and early 60s. It's going to be a massive project, hundreds of millions of dollars, but it is the most congested intersection in America, causes great pollution, there are great safety issues, definitely holds up our transportation and logistics from fulfilling their true potential. So we want to invest in these important projects, our roads all across Illinois, very, very important because we're the heart of the heartland. Our state and its location, very beneficial in modern America to deliver goods, but we have to invest in our roads, in our railroads, in our ports, in our airports, and all of the things that we want to make sure that are available to grow jobs and have a strong middle-class standard of living for the people of Illinois. I do want to say that if we don't buckle down and focus on pension reform, we will truly regret it. And I've said that to legislator after legislator in both parties, in both houses. Sometimes, as you know, there are legislators who have a favorite subject and they want to focus in on that matter before really focusing on the most important, highest priority. So we really have to keep everybody's attention on public pension reform in these next 11 days. I have said, and I'll continue to say here and everywhere else, that there can be no really advance on gaming and all that unless we do public pension reform. So for those legislators who are enamored with the shiny object of expanding gaming in Illinois, that has to wait until we get the important priority of pension reform done. In the area of gaming, I want to make sure everyone understands that we have to have strict oversight over any kind of gaming expansion in Illinois. We cannot in any way allow, if there's a casino in Chicago, that to take place without watchdogs that protect the public interest. There can be no loopholes for mobsters. I've said that before. We'll continue to say it. I've already had to veto 2 bills in this area that just didn't measure up to the ethical standards of the people of Illinois. And it's very, very important that we keep an eye on this, because we've had a gaming board in Illinois for over 20 years now. They've done a good job. They're the watchdogs. They make sure that things are done right. If something is not going in the right direction, they apprehend it and they fine those who were responsible for any kind of bad conduct. We've got to have that standard. It's very, very important to our state, to our city of Chicago, to the whole world that we do things right. And that means also, with respect to any kind of gaming expansion, if there are additional revenues, we have to invest them in things that matter to the people of Illinois. And that starts with education. The best way to help the most people, the key to economic opportunity, is a good education. And we need to invest in that in Illinois. Part of our challenge now with the whole public pension challenge is that it's squeezing away the money we have for early childhood and for K-12 and for our community colleges and for our 4-year public universities and scholarships to go to those schools. So all of this is very, very important that we come together and work together. Now, yesterday I was with some heroic parents who came from another state, Connecticut. They came from Newtown, Connecticut, and their children were killed on December 14th of last year in a horrific tragedy that I think all of America understood what those parents were going through. Anyone who has had the blessing of being a parent knows firsthand, when you see your child from the day they were born, how important it is to take good care of those children. Matter of fact, I remember when I was coming up, Jacqueline Kennedy, widow of President Kennedy, once said, "If you bungle raising your children, nothing else in life matters." And so I take those words to heart. And I was with 3 parents yesterday who came from Connecticut to talk about the Sandy Hook promise. That's what they came together on after their children were killed, and teachers as well, 26 altogether in Connecticut. And they vowed not to let that horrible deed, they want to do something about what happened. So their mission, and they've traveled across America to different states, is to work on specific legislation that deals with gun safety. And in our state, this week, and hopefully very quickly, we can pass onto my desk a bill that will deal with high-capacity ammunition magazines, to limit those magazines to no more than 10 rounds. The perpetrator in Newtown deliberately took larger magazines in his guns when he went to that school. He had other magazines at home. He kept them at home. He had these large magazines, 10 altogether, 30 rounds per magazine. That's 300. And he was able to shoot in about 4 minutes 154 shots. And he did have to reload once in a while there. And because of that, 11 children in Newtown were able to escape his rampage. And the parents asked the question yesterday, I think we should ask it in Illinois, if those ammunition rounds were limited to no more than 10. You could not have 30 rounds. How many more children would have survived? Would their boys and girls be alive today? So there is a bill, Senate Bill 1002, sponsored by Senator Dan Katowski. It's going to be heard today in committee. The parents are in Springfield right now. They stayed at the governor's mansion last night. They're ready to get up this morning. They're going to see the leaders and the members in both houses and both parties of the legislature to try and get this important bill out of committee, passed by the Senate, onto the House of Representatives, and then onto my desk. We can do this. You know, when you see things on TV that are terrible, whether it be Newtown or Aurora, Colorado, where John Larimer from our state a sailor, a very dedicated young man, about 26 years old, from Crystal Lake, was there in that movie theater in Aurora, Colorado at midnight. And when the gunman came in with an assault weapon with a high-capacity ammunition magazine, firing away at the crowd, John Larimer put his body in front of his girlfriend, saved her life, lost his. And I went to his wake, and I think in his memory, we should do something about these high-capacity ammunition magazines. It happened the same thing in Arizona. When the gunman had to reload, they were able to tackle him and save the life of Gabby Giffords and many others. So it's important that we here in Illinois, the middle of the country, the heart of the heartland, do hard things, whether it's pension reform, whether it's putting a limit on the capacity of the magazines, ammunition magazines on guns, or another issue that will be coming up very quickly in the legislature in these next 11 days, and that has to do with marriage equality. I believe in that. I think that's a policy we should adopt in Illinois. We have passed this bill through the Senate on Valentine's Day, quite a few days ago now, and since then, places like Rhode Island and Delaware and Minnesota have passed marriage equality in their states. In Minnesota, it was bipartisan. They had Democrats and Republicans voting on it, and I know the votes are there in the Illinois House. We have to have a roll call. We have to make sure that there is a vote on this issue so that bill can come to my desk. These are issues that we can make history on, whether it's dealing with the marriage equality or the pension reform or gun safety. We've got to be leaders in Illinois. We're the 19th largest economy in the whole world, Illinois. There are those who come from other places to run us down. But the bottom line is, I went to a community college where I spoke yesterday in the south suburbs, and the strength of our state are the men and women of Illinois, the parents, the children, the seniors, those who have been in the vineyard and worked hard for the common good. And it was so inspiring yesterday to see so many veterans stand up who are graduating from community college. And I believe in community college. I used to teach community college at night, and it's so important. We have 48 community colleges in our state. They're very, very important to our economy, so it's nimble, so we can train people for the jobs of the 21st century. We've got to invest in community colleges and in scholarships to go to college. So the only way we can do that is to do hard things. And that, again, comes back to this pension squeeze that has afflicted our state for decades. There have been those who avoided that issue. They don't even talk about that issue. Well, it came upon me when I got sworn in a little more than 4 years ago. I was here at the City Club shortly thereafter, but I'm here to do hard things, to repair the damage that was caused before I arrived. And it's so important that we address the ethics and make sure we have a government of integrity. We have done that. We enforce those rules. It's important that we really get our economy revving to its full potential. I was very happy just about a few weeks ago. We have a company that's come from Japan called Nippon Sharyo. They made the bullet trains 50 years ago, those fast trains in Japan. It's really a wonder of the world. But that company has come to Illinois. They like our workers. They understand firsthand that we're going to have high-speed rail in our state, from Chicago to St. Louis, Chicago to Detroit. Maybe someday we can get the governor of Wisconsin to understand that going from Chicago to Milwaukee faster is good for both of us. He turned down the money the first round, but maybe he will come to understand how important it is to take the route, the Amtrak route that has the most passengers of any other route outside the Northeast, that's Chicago to Milwaukee, and make sure it's as fast and safe as possible. We can do all these big things, but we have to understand that the foundation is to make sure we get our finances in order, and finances means public pension reform. So I really appreciate everyone listening here today. I know that Paul Green will be up here to ask questions, or I guess transmit questions, and I look forward to answer those. And I want to thank the City Club for listening and for helping us make the will of people the law of the land. Thank you.